One of the most common questions those nearing retirement are asking, will I outlive my money? Retirement questions like these and many more will be answered every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on Planning for a Better and Safer Retirement with hosts Francois and Julian Cozenet. Francois and Julian will help you put your retirement puzzle together. Catch Planning for a Better and Safer Retirement Saturdays at 9 a.m. on Ocala's News Talk, The Source 96.3 FM and 1370 AM.
All right, 25 minutes before 8 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. Beautiful looking Tuesday morning. The other day I saw two things that you don't see very often anymore. I was at a gas station and I saw a payphone. You don't see payphones very often anymore. I also saw body rot on the lower part of a car's door. And I thought to myself, wow, you don't see that very much anymore. And it never occurred to me that we don't see it very much anymore. When I was a kid, my friend's father had a boat. We'd go out on the boat, and we'd always come back in, and we'd always have to wash it off. And he would always say, to prevent the body rot, you gotta rinse it off, right?
Exactly.
There was no body rot on cars anymore. I wonder why. They must have changed something, but maybe because they're all plastic now.
I think so.
Maybe cars aren't made out of metal anymore.
Yeah.
We have an expert on this topic. Believe it or not. My question is, does somebody who studies corrosion have a magazine? Almost everybody has a magazine, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Bob Baboian is on the phone. What's in the centerfold of that magazine? Corrosion Time.
We want to know.
Bob is an auto industry consultant. He's a corrosion expert, and he's a fellow at the National Association of Corrosion Engineers. I never know what it means when it says a fellow.
Yeah.
How to inspect and protect. I can be a fellow.
Yeah, you can be a fellow.
I used to be a young fellow. No, I'm not. How to inspect and protect your car, boat. Oh, it does have boat on the list. And household from corrosion. Good morning, Bob. How are you?
Good. How are you? Nice to be here.
Yeah. How come we don't see? Where are you? Where are you calling from?
How come we don't see?
Yeah, but I know. But where are you calling from first?
I'm calling from Rhode Island.
Oh, Rhode Island.
Nice.
See, now I thought maybe the reason we don't see corrosion much is because I live in Florida and there's no salt being put down in the winter on the snow. Am I right about that?
No, you don't have that down there, but you have salts coming from a marine environment, depending on.
That's true.
Of course, you're far away from there, but you also have pollution. You have acid rain and acid snow, which mixes with some of those salts and becomes a very corrosive environment.
So, am I right that there's not much corrosion on cars? Like I can remember as a kid, the lower part of the doors would be rusted through sometimes on the older cars.
That's right. I spent a lifetime working on that with the automotive engineers. Well, corrosion engineers and automotive engineers have done a job to provide corrosion resistance on vehicles by design and better improved materials. Really nice job.
Yeah.
But
so the fact that I don't see it very much is a testament to you and your colleagues. It never occurred to me that somebody was behind all of that.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of work that went on, and along with the National Association of Corrosion Engineers, which is NACE International. And as you know, there can be some corrosion which exists. For example, on the undercarriage, you still have corrosion, but you can't necessarily see it.
Oh, okay. When you say undercarriage, I'm not a car guy. This is the chassis? This is the real...
nuts and bolts.
Like the foundation of the car?
Yeah, that's right. As a matter of fact, there's been some recalls this year because of corrosion on the undercarriage. And so, we're recommending, the Corrosion Association recommending that wash your car periodically. Make sure that you get those salts and the dirt and the sand out from underneath. And so when you go to a car wash, make sure they have that pressure sprayed on the undercarriage. On the undercarriage?
I never knew about that before. Okay.
Is waxing still a good idea to deter stuff to get it off easier than if you don't wax?
No, it's a good idea to wax. Washing and waxing is a good idea, but it's not as important as it was back in the 70s and 80s when they had all those problems. But today they do a nice job. The automotive engineers, the corrosion engineers, have done a nice job in developing paint systems which are really resistant to corrosion.
Oh, wow. So basically your message to us is to clean our cars, and I guess our boats as well. I mean, boats I understand because you're in the salt water, unless you're in the river, of course.
Right, and that's really, in terms of boat corrosive environment. Now, the same recommendation exists for boats too. When you come back from a trip of fishing or whatever, make sure that you flush your boat out with fresh water. Get the salts off of the top side and along the sides, and make sure that because it's the salts that cause that corrosion.
So salt is
you have that. Yes.
Well, I was going to say salt must be the primary thing. Is the sun sometimes the cause of things? I know that sometimes when we leave plastics outside, and I don't know if plastics are what you want to focus on, but like even vinyl siding on a house, especially here in Florida, will sometimes become very, very brittle. You could bump into it when you're cutting the lawn, and all of a sudden you got this big busted area you have to repair.
Well, non-metallic materials are sometimes susceptible to ultraviolet light, and so the ultraviolet will affect the materials like plastics. And in terms of metals, though, the only effect that the sun would have is heating up the system as a whole, the boat, the automobile, and at home, and corrosion rates are much higher when you have hot temperatures and high humidity, like what you have down there.
Yeah, that fits our description very well. Plus, as you mentioned, we do have our share of salt coming in from the ocean and the Gulf.
You have a background in molten salts and liquid metals. What are molten salts?
Well, when you take sodium chloride, which is a table salt, and you heat it up enough, it melts. And as a matter of fact, the nuclear industry uses molten salts as a coolant, just as you use water antifreeze as a coolant on your automobile. They use molten salts, which absorb the heat and transfer the heat away from the nuclear system.
So you have a fascinating expertise. If I was shadowing you and watching what you do, what would I watch? What would I see you be? Are you like studying things? And does it take a long time to study corrosion? Do you have to have something in place for like a year?
Well, they have degrees in corrosion science, corrosion engineering that you can get.
Wow.
A lot of it is experience. When I worked at Texas Instruments, I retired from Texas Instruments. I was head of the corrosion laboratory, and I spent a good deal of my time, probably 50% of my time, developing corrosion-resistant materials for automobiles and corrosion-resistant systems. So I worked very closely with the automotive engineers. And I worked on designs for corrosion resistance and recommendations for maintenance of vehicles, for boats, and for around the house.
Wow! And I'm guessing like the space station, they must have to have things that are very resistant to corrosion. I mean, you can't be in space and have something corrode on you. That's got to be something they've got to be right on top of. I mean, even the tiniest little wires must have to have something on them, right?
Well, as far as when you bring up wires, it's a whole an important situation. Electrical and electronics are very susceptible to corrosion. It doesn't take very much corrosion at all. Just a minute amount of corrosion will cause an electrical or electronic system to fail.
I bet.
So there are things you can do about that. They have inhibitor sprays that you use, which I use on my boat and automobile. And to prevent all of that from happening.
Really?
Oh.
And is that something that I could go buy like at like a big box store or something like that?
You go to a automotive supply or a hardware store, and they have a whole bunch of a shelf filled with different kinds of sprays. And there'll be corrosion inhibitor sprays. There'll be, I use a lot of WD-40, things along those lines.
WD-40.
And spray that. And spray that on your.
Seems to show up a lot.
Spray it
WD-40.
everywhere.
All right, let me. You know what I use WD-40 for? I know that you're gonna find this weird, but it's a water repellent. Mm-hmm. And I sweat. So when I play my accordion, and I know you can think I'm a dork now, but I do. I spray the bellows, and it seems to prevent the sweat from from corroding in a way.
Yeah.
Well, when you get rid of moisture, you get rid of the corrosion.
Are you? I know.
Wet.
I don't know if you have to go right away, but if you don't, would you like to take a phone call, or do you have to run?
I can take a phone call if you like.
Okay. Good morning.
If we have the time.
Okay. Good morning. You're on there with Bob Baboian.
Yes, good morning, Bob. See, living most of my life up in Wisconsin, in winter times they use a tremendous amount of salt to combat the ice and snow and whatnot. So you always had to get your car to the car wash maybe once a week, if not more. But they found out that some of the car wash outfits up there were using recycled plain water. And what they were doing is they're using the same salty water over and over again, and it wasn't doing any good. And finally, they had to get after those people to use fresh water all the time. But it was quite a thing for quite a while up there.
Wow, that's hard. That's
well,
terrible.
It's interesting because NACE International did a study on that.
They did?
Problem down here. Do you know anything about that? And does it actually harm the paint on a car?
Well, NACE International did a study years ago showing that the recycled water builds up sodium chloride, the salt, and so that you can do, in some cases, more damage by having your car go through the wash and spray on salt water instead of removing it. But then get after the car washes, and now they're much more careful in terms of changing their wash water and rinse water, and they're doing a better job on that. And the problem is that the car washes don't want to use too much water because of the problem getting rid of it.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Okay. So let's see. Is there a way to find out more information? Does NACE have a website, I guess, is one question.
Yes. Yes, to have a website. It's nace.org, NACE.org.
Okay.
And it's a good site because you can have, there's a lot of information, education about corrosion resistance, what the consumer can do to prevent it, and things along those lines.
Okay.
Wow.
NACE.org.
Fascinating.
I said to Robin this morning before you came on, I said, every once in a while we'll have a guest that brings something to the show that has never been brought to the show before. Mm-hmm. And we've done this show for a very long time. So I don't think this has ever come up before. So thank you for doing that. Can concrete corrode? Is there corrosion in concrete?
Well, it's another subject altogether. Reinforced concrete has steel bars in it, and the steel can corrode and cause the concrete to crack. But that's a whole different subject that NACE International gets involved with, and we have a lot of corrosion engineers working on that.
Oh, wow. I went to the website. No salt, no rust, only one step. Is that a product? Hold tight solutions. What is that? Kill all salts and flash rust in one pass with no residue. Oh, that must be a product. Is that right?
Yes, it sure is.
Okay, I don't know if you're endorsing it. It just happens to be on your website.
Yeah, that's cool.
Well, thank you. This is an interesting topic. I never considered it.
No.
Bob Baboian, thank you so much for being on the air with us this morning, and you're welcome back anytime. You're the only person who talks about this.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we'll be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. For today, times of clouds and sun. With a shower or thunderstorm in spots, the high 85 to 89. Partly cloudy tonight, though 68 to 72. Tomorrow, intervals of clouds and sun with the best chance of a shower or thunderstorm during the afternoon hours, high 87 to 91. On Wednesday, intervals of clouds and sun with a chance of an afternoon thunderstorm, high 89 to 93. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Here's what you may have missed on the John Tesh Radio Show.
Washing a paper cup with water can make it feel better, at least temporarily. You probably know that grapes contain compounds that are proven to improve our health, but those same compounds are toxic to dogs, so never give them grapes or raisins. Short dates? Send the message that we're busy, which makes us interesting. They also let us part on a high note and walk away thinking, I can't wait to see that person again.
Intelligence for your life on the John Tesh Radio Show. Don't miss this stuff.
Wow, I can't believe what I'm seeing. Who did this?
P&P Tikis and more, of course. Now I have a tiki hut for shade, and I can enjoy the sounds of my cascading fountain while feeding my koi fish in my own pond. They even fixed my fence and redid all my landscaping. Nice to see a professional, reliable, family-owned business. Yes, P&P Tikis is the natural Florida tiki builder and water features designer. With free estimates, P&P Tikis is licensed and insured. Call 352-877-3307 for your very own tiki hut and more. That's 352-877-3307. P&P Tikis.
So you need a credit card, but how do you choose? Let's compare the big banks to Florida Credit Union. They have rewards, and we do too. They have customer service. Hello, 24